Hello, I'm Jim Cornwall, and this is the walkingpost.com podcast. Walkingpost.com is the news website dedicated to walking with all the latest on books, gear, festivals, trails, health, fitness, events and more. This podcast is number 39 and yes, it has been a while. Sorry, just after Christmas I came down with that awful flu and while I had it I got tonsillitis as well. So needless to say my voice hasn't been at its best and maybe it still isn't. It could also be that that's the case since my radio days back in the 80s and 90s, and also in my band days when I'd be singing 3 or 4 nights a week. Thank goodness as the drummer I only did backing vocals and about 3 lead vocals. So this podcast is going out on February the 6th, and hopefully the weather will start to get better soon. So let's see what February the 6th is. I read that February the 6th is Valentine's Shopping Reminder Day. Surely that is not a thing, although having checked it out, apparently it is. It's National Chopsticks Day, so I'll have to dig some out. I do have some chopsticks shaped like drumsticks. Cute, but useless. If you are capable of using chopsticks, it is Bubblegum Day and Frozen Yogurt Day. It is also Wear Red Day. It's also the day Queen Elizabeth became Queen, it's the day of the Munich air disaster, and it is also the day that Washington Airport was named after President Reagan. I don't think he did that himself though, as if presidents would name things after themselves. And if it's your birthday, you share it with Babe Ruth, the aforementioned Ronald Reagan, and Bob Marley. So it was interesting going through that list because there are people I have no idea who they are, and people who I know, but then if I mentioned them, listeners would be saying, who is that? I also have to be careful of people known only in one place, because in December we had listeners in 38 different countries. So let's move on. Last time we chatted about the big walking festival, Euro Rando, which takes place in September. This week we're talking about a way to get fitter, by walking of course, and also helping the planet at the same time with an app called Treekly. And we have a special bonus offer for listeners as well. More about that after the interview. I've got to keep you listening after all. I think I may have told you the story before about the time my band played an outdoor concert, and there were about 500 people there. And then we took our break and the organisers read out all of the prize winners from the event. And when we came back on stage, there were maybe a dozen people left. A bit of a letdown. Anyway, lesson learned. Before we get going, if you do have news, guest ideas or even subjects to cover or comments or you want to advertise, please do get in touch via walkingpost.com or you can just email me directly at jim@walkingpost.com. Okay, so let's go through some of the headlines of the news articles you may have missed that we had on walkingpost.com this past week. The inaugural Hong Kong Nordic Walkathon is taking place in 2026. The Highland Council in Scotland has secured a path order for the Peffery Way, and India's 2026 budget has turned trails into economic policy. A new app is highlighting walking stories in the Malverns, Club Tourism has added some new hiking tours in Japan, and a new Greater Manchester Walking Guide from Ordnance Survey has been published for carless hikers. Not careless, carless, just in case you were wondering. The Hong Kong government has given an update, and it's a positive one, on the Hong Kong Round the Island trail that's being constructed. There are 10 new hiking trails in the hills just outside of Athens, and that's the one in Greece, not Georgia. And you can read all of these and many more at www.walkingpost.com.
Welcome to Atlantic Canada, a podcast series about one of North America's most spectacular, welcoming, and sometimes overlooked regions.
That is a massive, oh my God.
Hey, pucker up, kiss the fish.
Come on down, you'll get the friendliest people in the world.
My name's Ryan Campbell.
Captain.
The waters of Newfoundland is the largest gathering of feeding humpback whales in the world.
We're Nick and Amy Thompson, podcast producers based in Manchester. We've been challenged to take on an epic road trip across the 4 provinces of Atlantic Canada: Newfoundland and Labrador, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island.
My name is Stone Bear. I'm from Negootcook First Nation.
So, have you kayaked before?
Oh my God, I hate it already.
But this podcast isn't about us. It's about the people and places we encounter along the way.
Join us on this journey, and we think you'll be surprised at what you'll learn.
Listen on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so let's get to this week's conversation, and it is with Jon Bunning, co-founder of Treekly. Treekly connects your steps to tree planting, although I'll let Jon explain how it all works because he does it far better than I could. You can do this as an individual, a business, or both, and stay tuned, because at the end of the interview, we have a special Treekly offer. And no, we're not going to mail you a fully grown giant redwood. All right, hi Jon, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. Maybe to get started then, if you could tell me a bit about Treekly and the background behind it being started in the first place.
Well, I guess the best place to start is what exactly is Treekly? We're a behaviour change platform, a little like Duolingo, but based on walking more and earning trees. So we've developed an app which uses gamification to encourage people to walk more than 5,000 steps a day, and that helps them avoid a sedentary lifestyle. And at the same time, we're allowing them to play their part in helping the planet. The reward for maintaining a daily walking habit is funding and helping to fund our community, the reforestation projects around the world. We've used science as a basis for the app, knowing that it takes 20 to 30 days to form a habit through constant repetition and around 90 days to embed that habit into a lifestyle. The app has been developed to deliver against those thresholds, if you like.
So how does it work? Can you kind of take me through from if you download this, the process and how it works?
Well, effectively, we're a companion app. So we allow users to connect their steps trackers, whether that's through their iPhone, Apple Health, Fitbit, Garmin, etc., etc. And we scrape that data and take the steps to create rewards using trees, if you like, against the 5,000 steps target. In the app, users can view their digital forest, which they create, and the impact score of that forest. And they can also create leaderboards to compete against friends, family, colleagues, that sort of thing, bit of friendly competition. Or businesses can use the platform to run a company steps challenge, engaging their employees and helping grow a company forest.
And so what was the goal to address with this project in the first place?
Interestingly enough, we'd originally scoped out the development of an app designed to help fight childhood obesity. Strangely enough, we had a personal connection at London and Partners, which was Sadiq Khan's inward investment agency. They were looking for pledges for his re-election manifesto. And we were concerned to hear that 2 out of 5 kids in London start school obese. And that gets worse because 3 out of 5 by the age of 10 are in the obese classification. And London ranked bottom of the top 10 global cities for this performance. So we wanted to create a product where we could motivate these kids to walk more. And we were using the power, or were planning to use the power of Premiership football clubs to create a friendly competitive league, if you like, that these kids could join and feel part of. All was going well. The tech development journey was nearly complete. Then COVID happened. So all the events were closed, sporting events cancelled, and schools were closed. So it left us with a bit of a conundrum, to be quite honest. We could have mothballed what we created, but we took a step back and decided to pivot and looked beyond the COVID situation and knew that once we were through that, climate change was really the only game left in town. So we created the trees as the prizes, and it became this turning footsteps into forests.
And so what are the differences between the personal programs and the business
Let's start with businesses. So they can pay a setup fee, and we will create a branded section within the app so that a corporate sponsor could take on part of the app. And then we will create a leaderboard for their employees, which is a live data leaderboard. And there's a message board in there as well. So that helps drive their team building, if you like, and their messaging. And it's a good look for a business to get behind that. And we've had some very, very good take up from global businesses, actually. Their staff are rewarded with 1 tree every day for walking over 5,000 steps. They can engage their clients as well in their supply chain, so they can open up the opportunity to outside of the company as well. So there's a direct-to-consumer version, which is available free for individual users plus their friends and family. For that cohort, if you like, we fund the reward of 1 tree for completing any 20 days in a month.
Is it a non-profit organisation? I mean, how do you raise money to pay for the tree planting?
I guess the answer to that is yes and no. We're not registered as a charity, but for the last 4 years since inception, we've made sure 100% of the profits from personal subscriptions and company-funded challenges, etc., are reinvested back into funding the trees, which our free users earn when they complete the monthly Treekly challenge. We're self-financing, if you like, but also funding the reforestation projects. In addition to the consumer subscription plans, business paid challenges, users can also purchase bundles of trees, and then they can boost their digital forests in their app.
Do you have any stats on how many people and businesses are participating, and how many countries, where they're from, how many trees have been planted, and all those good things?
Yeah, I do. So we're up to nearly 100,000 people having downloaded the app. And as we speak, we're getting close to our first major milestone of 1 million trees, creating a bit of a legacy, really, which we're very proud of. Steps have been recorded in over 180 countries. Over half of those are in the UK, but the next biggest region is the States. The rest is fairly evenly spread around the world. And on the B2B side, we've had more than 150 businesses having run their company Steps Challenge using our platform, including global brands Visa, Hewlett-Packard, E.ON, Rotary Club, which is a global organisation, Finastra, which is a global fintech. So an illustrious name so far, I'd say.
Absolutely. I guess we're just in the beginning of 2026 and everybody makes these New Year's resolutions and then it kind of fades by the end of January. How do you keep people engaged? And do you send out lots of messages, or what's the key to keeping people involved?
Well, there are digital achievement badges to help users meet their goals and to help them establish their performances, if you like, whether that's increasing their steps challenges or their streak behavior of doing steps, 5,000 steps a day for 10 days on a run, etc., etc. We also send out notifications when users are towards the end of the day but not quite done their 5,000. We're proactively interacting with users to encourage them to meet their goals. There's also a pre-planned schedule of comms that go out on day 1, day 7, day 20 of each user's life cycle. And they're a mix of blogs about the tree planting sites, benefits of walking, discounts and offers to promote Treekly Plus subscription, refer friends, etc. And interestingly enough, the majority of the businesses that have reached out to us has been as a result of consumers who have recommended that their employers, if you like, to create an employee steps challenge.
What are the impacts been so far, I guess, from either side, from the health side or the tree planting side?
It's probably easier to take a couple of steps back. And if we say the upcoming million tree milestone, what that means, if you like, it means that we've provided over 10,000 work days for the local communities of the tree planting NGOs. These local communities are sometimes living in extreme poverty. They used to cut down the trees to burn for fuel, and now they're custodians of their own reforestation. So that's a really nice outcome. The actual mangrove trees, the million mangroves, will cover approximately 250 football pitches, just to give you a bit of a graphic picture. And the effect of that is capturing 310,000 tonnes of CO2 by 2050, which, for context, is the equivalent of carbon emissions of about 275,000 economy flights from London to New York. So it's making a significant difference, even to date.
And I guess it's not just the CO2, it's habitat as well, which is massively important.
Well, it's certainly the mangrove trees that we're planting recreate the ecosystems for fishing for local communities as well, and they help fight coastal erosion. So there's no bad side to this, let's put it that way.
All right. I know we're mainly a walking podcast, but could you tell me about any of the success stories that you've had on the walking side of things?
Well, anecdotally, we've received many heartwarming messages from users. The best one was of a guy that was well into his 80s, and he said, Treekly's got me walking again. That was a really nice moment for us. And others have been talking about how it's helped as part of their mental health recovery. And in total, because we like to think of our users as one big community, the Treekly community has walked over 50 billion steps, and that's 1,000 times around the planet.
Wow, that's some perspective there.
It is. It's they're mind-boggling stats. And actually, the idea is to scale this at pace. We're nowhere near where we need to be to create the outcomes that we know that this behaviour change platform can deliver. So we're going flat out.
Is it primarily in Madagascar that you're doing the planting? And do you plan on doing other places as well?
Our tree planting partners who are based in British Columbia have got multiple sites across the world. Our first reforestation project was in Madagascar. That finished in 2023. And we've now got other sites going live in Brazil, Kenya, Tanzania. We even do UK and USA trees, but the commercials are slightly different on those.
How are you growing the platform, and how are you growing the number of people and businesses that you get involved?
Well, at the moment, it sounds incredible, but all of our business inquiries are coming through word of mouth or on inbound inquiries to the website. We haven't spent money on marketing. We're relying solely on word of mouth. And that's really what beggars belief in terms of the stats that I've just quoted to you. Because if we go into a next funding round and that's successful, that money will be spent on marketing and awareness, because that's the only way we're going to scale this quickly.
And how do you see the platform itself evolving?
There's sort of endless opportunities, really. We could expand the tree reward into other good causes such as charity donations or, kelp, wildflower forests. It's a matrix of opportunities that we've got, really. And it's a question of working out where the best traction is going to lie. But for now, there's significant scope in just the simplicity of walking and trees. Turning footsteps into forests resonates with our users. We just need more people and businesses to know about the platform.
So I guess that definitely goes down as a win-win. Good for your health to get all those steps in, and good for the planet by planting more trees. That's a bit of an oversimplification, because there are lots more good things coming out of that. And now for the other good news, and it is a special offer from Treekly. If you download the free Treekly app, and that is Treekly, you can plant one bonus tree by going to the Forest tab in the app and pressing the plus button, and then you enter the code Walking Post, all one word. It's been a while since I did a walking rant, so I think I'm overdue. And you may have similar annoyances or different ones, so it's always great to hear from listeners about the things that drive you crazy. This time I'm going to focus on directions, or lack of. My first example is a video that my son and I watched a couple of years ago about a hike in Scotland. It looked absolutely amazing. It was in a deep gorge that looked like something out of a dinosaur movie. We used to do a lot of hiking in slot canyons in the US Southwest when we lived there. It was my absolute favourite kind of hiking. Basically walking between rocks where a river used to be many millions of years ago. And sometimes these slot canyons go on for miles. And sometimes they can be quite narrow as well. The only thing that you have to do is watch the weather, because if there is a flash flood and it rains heavily, which it can do, those canyons can become very dangerous very quickly, because there's nowhere for you to go and they fill really fast. Anyway, that's not the rant. We watched this video, and at the end, the guy who had made the video said, "You have to see this place. It's one of the best hidden gems in Scotland." And the issue that I had was that nowhere in the video did he say where it was. So yes, it was a hidden gem, and it was going to stay that way. After a while, there were some comments that said where it was, but we quickly forgot about it, so we didn't end up going. There was another great example with a hike in one of the magazines that I used to buy. It had lots of hikes in it, and one of them, again, was fairly local to us. Although this time the map itself was fine because it did tell you where it was. The only problem was it didn't tell you how to get there. In the description it said there was parking along the main road nearby, enough for 2 cars. Well, we went there, and there was absolutely nowhere we could park at the coordinates that we were given. Fairly close there was a gate to a field, but it was clearly used, and so if the farmer needed to get access, he wouldn't be very impressed. We did eventually park about half a mile away, and we walked back to where the starting place was supposed to be. So the second problem was the instructions didn't say how to actually get to the start. So there we were by the side of the road, looking way down into the valley below at where the start was, but there was no way to get to it. And believe me, we tried. We eventually gave up and went to the nearest village to get something to eat. And while we were there, we found out from someone that you have to walk half a mile in the opposite direction beyond the start, and then walk in a big semicircle through a field, across a bridge, and go in some convoluted zigzag to get to the start. So, another failure. We once did a hike near Selsey in Sussex and even had a book with us. And this is often cited as a joke, but it actually did say this. It said, turn right opposite the caravan park and cross the field with the bull in it. Now, the book was written probably 15 years before we were there, so the bull was probably in an old cattle home by then. And the other slight issue was that the directions, for this particular walk at least, were all completely backwards. The field was on the left, and the caravan park was on the right, a little further down, so it wasn't even opposite. And no, we hadn't started at the end and done it backwards. When I got home and I started looking through the book, there was one of the walks that said, as you turn into the woodlands, look for the carpets of bluebells. Well, we didn't see one single bluebell, but then it was September. The next example of bad directions is useless or missing signposts, and I'm sure we've all experienced that. I did the first couple of stages of a long-distance trail when I was in Europe last year, while I was doing the interviews for one of our other podcasts, and it was an absolutely beautiful walk. I was a bit concerned that I'd have to rely on directions on my phone, but for the first 45 minutes there were signs everywhere. Some of them were a bit useless actually, because there were 6 of them on a straight path by a canal. I guess maybe I got a bit complacent because when I came to a fork, I stayed along the river and just kept going. And that was up a steepish hill as well, which was annoying. After about 25 minutes, I wondered why I'd not seen a sign for a while, seeing as I'd seen so many of them before. And I also wondered why I was heading kind of in the wrong direction to the one that I thought I should be going in. And yes, I looked at the phone, and you guessed it, I'd done about 2 miles extra, and the one place where there was no sign is where I went the wrong way. Just one more and I'm done, I promise. Country parks and national parks often have a big board with hikes on, and quite often they look like a combination of an underground map and a plate of multicoloured spaghetti. And then when you get on the trail, there are wooden posts with 11 colours on them, and you're meant to be able to tell the difference between scarlet and crimson. And when you come to a fork or a junction, the post is just there. It doesn't tell you which direction you're supposed to go in. It just tells you that at that particular time, you are on the path. Anyway, I have other examples, but that's probably enough for now, and I'm sure that you have plenty of your own. As always, it's great to hear from listeners. If you're in the UK, not only has it been dark, it's been wet, or in the north of Scotland, snowy as well. Hopefully you have been able to get out walking recently. If not, perhaps you just need the motivation of something like that Treekly app. And again, don't forget to download the Treekly app and get that special offer, which is planting 1 bonus tree by going to the Forest tab in the app, pressing the plus button and entering the code Walking Post, which is all one word. So that will just about do it for this week. If you do have news or suggestions for podcast guests, please do get in touch through jim@walkingpost.com. I'm always looking for guests, whether it's about a new trail, new equipment, a new book, or even someone who's done an amazing walk somewhere. Rain forecast for this weekend again, which means we still have filming equipment we haven't tested. So I hope you enjoyed this week's walkingpost.com podcast, and I hope you have a great week ahead, hopefully with a walk somewhere, even if it is initially just to find the umbrella. So, until next time, happy trails! Walking Post from walkingpost.com is an Air Coastal Media Limited production.